over 20 members of parliament drawn from across the political divide now want Education Cabinet Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi to implement the recommendations on the report on the task force on security secondary school fees. The MPs have threatened to take action if Professor Kaimenyi proceeds to launch guidelines on security on secondary school fees for this year. They claim that there are cartels in the ministry seeking to benefit from loopholes that the task force sought to address.
Annual fee guidelines cannot be mere rituals, because that is what they are looking like. You issue annual fee guidelines, they are no more than mere rituals, and then you listen to how the cabinet secretary and even the principal secretary, how they talk. They sound like captives. Who is this who has made them captives? Why can they implement a report of a task force that has spent taxpayers' money like this? Honestly, I think we have to say enough is enough. When we hear students, for example, that boy Lukuyani, who is offering to sell his kidney to go to school, we hear of the poor girl in Nyeri who is going to repeat class 8 3 times because she cannot afford school. We hear of the girl in Kisumu who cannot go to school. She has been called to a national school because she can't afford 70,000. What are we doing to this country? Some of us would not be in this parliament if education was that expensive. And we must stand up for the right of the children of Kenya. But what we must not permit as a house is for Jacob Kaimenyi and Bailey Kipsang to sound as if they are going to rewrite the book of Lamentations in the Bible.
Seats are being sold by raising fees and by sustaining the old high fees and by blatant disregard of the guidelines that have been received by the president and complemented as legitimate and necessary to make free and compulsory education in Kenya a reality. It means the impunity at the Jogo House is entrenched and therefore cascading all the way to the counties and the sub-counties.
We are not going to leave it pending like this when we have a report which should be implemented. We have to take action that the parliamentary committees actually have teeth and they can bite. And it is a high time now Parliament did something so that we can save many Kenyans, many children who are unable to join Form 1 at their rightful places where they have been taken.
Elsewhere, Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu this morning met with the Lands and Housing Committee in Parliament to present her budget for the year 2015-2016. The CS says her ministry may need more money for the said financial year to enable her carry out several projects, including putting up police housing and settling of squatters. KTN's Aaron Ochieng is in Parliament and he now joins us by way of phone. Aaron, if you can hear me, other than the budget, did the Cabinet Secretary address the tussle between her and Mohammed Swazuri of the National Lands Commission?
Very well, Ian. No, the Cabinet Secretary did not touch on the squabbles between her and the Commission on Land, but all the same, even the members of the committee did not question her on that, basically because today's meeting was just for Ngilu to present her budget before the committee so that it can either be approved or rejected. So the issue of the squabble between her and the Swazuri did not feature. But basically, as you already mentioned, she wants more money, an additional 1.1 billion shillings in her ministry for the issues regarding quotas and construction of police housing. And she's saying she wants to construct 10,000 housing units in all the counties. Ian.
Well, Aaron, also I understand that Parliament is resuming today. Perhaps if you know any bills that are set to be discussed?
Yeah, the Parliament resumes today after a 2-month Christmas recess. And as we speak, the leader of majority in the National Assembly, Eden Duale, is actually addressing members of the press in regards to the House business that will be conducted in the next few weeks. Key of it will be the receiving of the budget policy statement 2015-2016 that are submittable before the House before February 15th. But other than that, they are also expecting a public audit bill of 2014 and the public procurement disposal bill of 2014 also to be tabled in addition to the Public Accounts Committee report of 2012 and 2013. So the train, the infill for Parliament is actually full, and we expect the Parliament to get down to business and post the normal wrangles between parties and parties trying to fit each other. We're also going to see. Also, in addition, Wagalla has also mentioned that members of Parliament who misbehaved on the 18th day of December when the security bill, the controversial security bill was passed, will be punished by the House. The private member will introduce a bill that will seek to punish errant members that, according to Duale, ashamed the august House. Ian.
Thank you very much. That is KTN's Aaron Ochieng giving us an update on just from Parliament, where they have resumed, and Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu was also presenting her budget for the year 2015-2016. We move on now, and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo is urging leaders on the continent to write stories about Africa. Obasanjo says stories by African leaders will help the continent better understand the problems facing it from the perspective of leaders. He said it will also challenge those in leadership positions to better in solving issues affecting African countries. The former president wants leaders to promote good governance, democracy, and human rights. He was speaking during the launch of his book titled My Watch. The launch was attended by, among others, CORD leader Raila Odinga, UDF party leader Musalia Mudavadi, and former presidential aspirant Peter Kenneth.
Go, My Watch by Olusegun Obasanjo. Makofi.
When people say they want the naked truth, they cannot even embrace the truth when it comes dressed. You speak so candidly in the volume, and I see your letters, and this is something that I think that we should do. You write to the man for whom you left power, Umaru Yar'Adua. You ask him many questions. You promised Nigeria continuity, but I don't see it. You tell him you annoy many people, but your intentions are always noble. You annoy the current president, Goodluck Jonathan. You visit Maiduguri in search of peace. You set up peace commissions. There is a sense in which in those few covers, you've covered the history of Africa.
I do look forward to reading the book, to seeing what is in it, because I think for us to deal with our problems, we really need to get legacies of a few distinguished writers like you, General. You have put your story, your experiences on paper. It is rare, as somebody has said, that we do not get this kind of opportunity from people who have held very significant and important positions, whether within our countries or in the continent.
But I've gone through from few pages, and particularly the last volume on My Watch. And something that comes out there is about servant leadership. The general talks there about being a watchman and being a shepherd. He says that a watchman does not own the nation. If you are a watchman, you don't own the people you are watching up. Or if you are a shepherd, you do not own the flock.
I read and I write, and I say it as I understand it, without meaning any harm. Objectively, I say what I understand, because I believe that each of our countries can do better than we are doing now. Each of our countries. And if we are challenged, and my book is also a challenge, if we are challenged, then that's a way of making us do better than we are doing. If Africa will own the 21st century, then we have to get it right. And I believe we can only get it right if we are strong on democracy, if we are strong on good governance, if we are strong on human rights, if we are strong on not allowing impunity.
Elsewhere, the Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, Simbarati, says his life is in danger over a 7-acre piece of land allegedly grabbed in Lavington. He says he has reported the matter to the police, and we now join Arati on phone. If you can hear me, Arati, why are you claiming that your life is in danger, and perhaps what makes you feel that you're not safe?
This is not the first time. This is not the first time that I'm saying my life was in danger, because what happens is the land in Lavington, 7 acres, it has, it is a land that lay to Wangari Maathai stopped in development, and indeed it happens to be on the wetland, which one claims to be have gotten a. But then that was only one aspect of all the one line of things. But then I've got information where number of people that have been having meetings overnight, and they're saying they must have a by-election in the Great North. And they have given out the number plate of a vehicle, the X-Trail vehicle, which has been assigned to trail me from behind. And this is not the first time. I did raise it in Parliament last year, and I got this one last week. I did actually raise it in the media last Sunday, but then it has come obvious that after the death of Mchai, I believe strongly that the report I gave the police, which have not acted upon, there is sure part of the whole story that I've gotten from my own informants, that indeed there is a scheme and involving even some members of Parliament who are hatched to eliminate me, so that they can have a by-election in the Great North.
If I can just interrupt you, have you recorded statements with the police, and what are we getting from them? What are they saying about this?
I have made a report to Kilimani Police Station. Last year I did 2 reports. This roundup I went on Sunday last week. I made a report, and which I followed up with the DCIO of Kilimani, who promised that he's going to follow up on the issue. On the land of Lavington, I've confronted the CID director on the allegation that the person who pretends to be having the title, that he knows the protection from the government over that land, and Muhoro denied all end claim of having end link with that person. Therefore, there are 2 fronts, and I'm confident that this is the only time that the government has to come down and investigate.
And maybe
they're being forced to me as the member of Parliament.
Finally, if you can just tell us, have police tightened up your security?
Surprisingly, after I made noise, that's last Sunday, that's when I received my bodyguard, after I released the one I had before. Therefore, at the moment, I've only gotten 1 police officer who has been assigned to me. But for the 2 months, November, December, I didn't have a police officer or a bodyguard until I raised it on last week. That's the time I got a bodyguard. Though I've also shared with the CS when we met. I told him my life is in danger. That was last week, before even the death of Honorable Shai.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Simbarati. Of course, we shall keep in touch with you for more on that story and just to follow on what is happening in our subsequent bulletins. Moving on from that now, the Board of Registration of Architects and Quantity Surveyors has cited corruption, lack of capacity and low penalties as some of the major reasons for the continued collapsing of buildings in the country. Chairman Cosmos Maweu says the lack of tertiary institutions to train artisans and inspectors is a major contribution to the disaster.
The enforcement of building laws and regulations has been hampered by acute lack of technical and supervisory staff. The inadequacy in Mindu level supervisory staff is caused by lack of tertiary institutions which train diploma and inspectorate cadres. Most of the institutions were converted into universities. However, we are aware of the government efforts to increase tertiary institutions through TVET program, whose effect will take long before it is felt. It is these poorly trained artisans that are carrying out construction of most buildings in the country, leading to collapsing of buildings at different stages of construction, and some have also collapsed long after they have been occupied.
And Othaya Member of Parliament Mary Wambui is among a section of leaders who are calling for the reinforcement of VIP security. The MP has called on the government to offer refresher courses to security personnel in order to enhance their skills while protecting important personnel. She says it is disturbing that attackers are able to overpower trained security personnel, even as she called for speedy investigations into the murder of Kabete Member of Parliament George Mushai. The MP's call comes in the midst of growing fear among citizens regarding insecurity in the country, with many wondering if at all they are safe within their borders.
We are so scared about the security because we cannot understand how one person can go and shoot 4 people at once. There is something which we do not understand. But I want to tell you here that this one I just say in front of public and in front of God, Mushai was not killed by ordinary person. This was a plan for somebody who planned very well, who knows how he used to go, how is the movement. What we don't understand is where he was killed. The Nyayo people, they are there, the police. Even Nyati house is just near there. We cannot understand all that hours which were taken, and there was no action was done.
With some not so good news for motorists, the Kenya Roads Board is proposing to increase the fuel levy from the current 9 shillings. The board, which is charged with road maintenance and construction, wants the government to raise the levy by a minimum of 3 shillings, which could push it to 13 shillings. The levy is a charge on petrol and diesel that, if implemented, could see fuel prices rise in the country. The Roads Board claims that the roads maintenance costs had skyrocketed to an estimated 50 billion shillings a year, hence the need to increase its capacity to raise resources. In a pullout in today's dailies, KRB estimates that a backlog of road maintenance work requires 400,000 shillings to improve. The Roads Board is also pushing for the involvement of the private sector through a private-public partnership framework as an avenue to generate funds to maintain and pave new roads in the country. The move to have the fuel levy increased is not likely to go down well with motorists who are currently enjoying low fuel prices with a drop in global crude oil prices. Elsewhere, the Central Bank of Kenya is in the market selling to Treasury bonds to offer budgetary support. The bank will be selling a 2-year bond as well as reopening a 10-year bond seeking to raise up to 25 billion shillings. The 10-year bond coupon rate has been pegged at 12.371%, while the 2-year bond will be market determined. The government usually borrows domestically through sale of Treasury bills and bonds to finance long-term projects and service short-term obligations such as paying public sector employees. The sale of 2 bonds comes less than a month after the central bank reopened 2 Treasury bonds for sale, seeking to tap up to 20 billion shillings in the auction, also meant for budgetary support. Now, I'm just going to leave you with a Did You Know fact as usual. And today it says that, did you know that toilets use 35% of indoor water use? Now, it just leaves you to wonder whether you should save water or not. My name is Ian Wafula. Do have yourself a lovely afternoon and enjoy the rest of your viewing.